Okay, in this example, we have an object is thrown upward at a speed of 134 feet per second by a machine from a height of 15 feet off the ground. The height h of the object after t seconds can be found from that equation. Question is, when will the height be 228 feet? Okay, so let's write out what we have. We have the height equal minus 16t squared plus 134t plus 15. And they're asking us, when will the height be 228? So you just simply plug in height 228. Does that make sense? So we plug in height 228 and then we solve for t. We find the time when the height will be 228. So I solve this equation for t. Now, the question is, do you remember how to solve for t? An x squared. See how this is an x squared equation? We have x squared right there. So solving an x squared equation. Remember, step number 1 is all about get a 0. You've got to get a 0 on one side. So I'm going to subtract 228 from both sides. And that'll put a 0 here. It'll give me minus 16 squared, t squared plus 134t. And then what's that? 15 minus 228. I think it's minus 213. Right. And then you identify this as A, B, and C. A, B, and C. And you plug on in to the quadratic formula. That's step 2. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A, which equals, let's give it a go here. So it's negative B, so negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Let's plug things in. A or B here is 134, 134. A for AC, A is minus 16. C is, can make this a little bigger here, minus 213 for C. All over 2A, 2 times the minus 16. There we go. All right, let's keep that cranking. So that's minus 134 plus or minus square root of 134 squared. Going to use my calculator. 17956 minus. Now notice here we have a negative, and a negative. 3 negatives make negative. 4 times 16 times 213. I'm getting 13,632 all over negative 32, 2 times A. Okay, and so then what do we get? Negative 134 plus or minus square root. So, subtracting those guys. In fact, actually, let me just do it right here. Negative 134 plus or minus the square root of 4324 over negative 32. Okay, and so that means we have two different options, right? Negative 134 plus the root of 4324 over negative 32, or the other one, x equals negative 1, because it's plus or minus. So it's the plus here, and here will be the minus 4324 over negative 32. There's the minus. There's the plus, right? The plus option, the minus option. So we got those two options for answers. They want two answers on this problem. So let's keep it going. Let me see the format of the two answers they want. So they want two answers, and we'll round them both when we get them. Okay, so then on your calculator, now when you do this on your calculator, make sure you put parentheses around the numerator before you divide by the bottom. That makes sense? You got to put parentheses around the numerator. I'm getting 2.13 over here. And here I'm getting 6.24. They want them both rounded to two places. So there's our two answers. There, oh, that should have been T. I was using X all on it. It was T, but whatever. Same thing. So there's our two answers. 2.13 and 6.24. So 2.13, comma, 6.24. That's when. Those are the times. That's why I said they should have actually been T. My variable was really T. This should have been T all the way down. That's the time. Those are the two times at when the object will be 228 feet high. T seconds. That's how many seconds. So in other words, what's happening, if you want to, I think it's good to always picture this stuff. If you think about it, draw a little graph here. Basically, it's shooting something like this. Yeah. And so it's shooting it like that. And they're asking us, when will it be 228 feet high? So I don't know what 228 is, but let me say it's about, I don't know, right here. 228. So like boom and boom. That's why there's two times at 2.30. This is time on this axis, and this is height on this axis. It's going to be 220 feet high at 2.13 seconds, and here at 6.24 seconds, right? Because it's going, you know, the object that's thrown up will, you know, it's going up, it's going on the way up, and here it's coming on the way down. So it hits those two heights, once on the way up, once on the way down. I could draw a line right there to make it more clear. Right, it hits a height of 228, once on the way up, once on the way down. Oh, I put the 6.24 in the wrong spot. Right here. Oh, whoops, the wrong tool. 6.24 seconds. So it hits on the way up and on the way down. It hits that height at 228 feet. That's when the height is 228. We found those two times. And now, on part two, they say, when will the object hit the ground? Well, when it hits the ground, that's right here. And when it hits the ground, the height is 0, isn't it? So now we just take that equation and plug in height 0. So let's do that. Let me add a page here. So when it hits the ground at that moment, the height is 0. So I take that equation, which is right here, h equals minus 16t squared plus 134t. T, what was the last part? Plus 15. And I plug in h is 0 right there. And I solve for t. And this is in the notes as well. When something hits the ground, the height is 0. So set it equal to 0 and solve for t. So, okay, so it's a quadratic formula, isn't it? So here's a. We've already got a 0. Already equal to 0. So we don't have to do that first step like we did last time. Remember last time we had a 228 over here, so I had to subtract 228 to get a 0. That's the first step. Get a 0 before you do the quadratic formula if you don't already have a 0. But we've already got a 0, so we don't have to mess with the quadratic formula, with the 0 thing. So here we go again, negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We've used this quite a few times. So it's going to be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, let's plug stuff into it. So b is positive 134, so 134, and 4a is negative 16. C is 15 all over 2a is again negative 16. Okay, so what does that give us? Minus 134 plus or minus square root. So 134 to the second power again, 17,956. Now what's the sign? Watch the sign here. Negative, negative. Two negatives. It's going to be positive, right? And 4 times 16 times 15. I'm getting 960. You see how that came out positive there? All over minus 32. Right? Count the minus signs carefully there. So we get minus 134 plus or minus. So 960 plus 17,956 equals the square root of 18,916 all over minus 32. All right, so it gives us the two different options. So this one is x equals minus 134 plus the square root of 18,916 over minus 32, or x equals minus 134 minus the square root of 18,916 all over minus 32. We do the plus option there, minus option there. All right, let's figure out the two of them. This is a long problem. Double quadratic formula. So make sure you put parentheses around the numerator when you put this on your calculator. All right. 18,916. I'm getting negative 0.11. And this one, I'm getting, oops, I just did the same thing again. Minus. I'm getting positive 8.485, sort of around to 49 seconds. Now notice this one is negative. Cross out negative time. Because again, this is time. I kept doing x. I really should have made these. These are both time. These are both time. And cross out negative time, it's impossible, right? You can't, it's back in time. Math is made up to help us do things that are real, but sometimes math goes beyond reality. Negative time is impossible. You cross it off. The only answer is t equals 8.49 seconds. That's when it hits the ground. See, if you look back at the diagram, right here, that's our answer. That's our 8.49 seconds. Right there, when it hits the ground. And you think, why did you give another answer? Well, that other one was, the math was going back here and giving us minus 0.11. See, math doesn't know you can't go backwards in time and run that ball backwards like a movie, run backwards, and hit the ground back before the thing was released. That's the answer math, the other answer math was giving us. We ignore that answer. And so the only answer is the 8.49 seconds. So there we go.